Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon, and today we're looking at the T-54. This is a Tier 9 Russian medium, and it is amazing. We are on the South Coast, and I love to play the T-54 as an aggressive brawler, pusher, flanker, scout. You gotta get in there with this tank. I am heading to the middle and I am all alone, so alone. And I spotted several tanks. I got T-54 on the right, there's a T-34-3 in the distance, and there's an IS-3 moving up. With 3 artillery pieces, this can be a very dicey situation, especially since the IS-3 is YOLOing right at me. But it's okay, let him YOLO. The T-54 excels at brawling situations because of the awesome traverse. I just spun on a dime. The IS-3 has problems getting his tougher armored parts pointed at me. He has problems brawling with me. I can also just do circles around him. I already bounced one off the incredibly tough turret, however I am not really willing to face hug there, simply because there are 3 artillery pieces and I'm pretty much the only one that's been spotted right now, so I'm pretty sure that artillery are looking this way. When I think I can relax a bit, a wild low appears, and this is a dangerous situation again because of those 3 artillery pieces. If there are some artillery in the 0 line, then I'm okay. I'm protecting myself from them and the low by sitting around that building. However, I am still vulnerable to artillery pieces along like K3, K4, but I'll take my chances here because I really don't have anywhere to hide. As you've seen several times so far, the T-54 is very good at snapshotting with a low effective aim time and low bloom. The T-54 can reduce the amount of time it spends in the open by pulling out, just throwing a shell at the enemy and then ducking behind cover before they're able to even turn their turret onto you. My teammates finally realize there's a low that's free for the killing and they take them out. That frees me up to do some scouting work a little bit farther up the map. With ridiculous camo values, the T-54 is uniquely suited to be a scout over the other Tier 9 medium tanks. I mean, it is embarrassing how good the camo is on the T-54 compared to the other Tier 9 mediums. When the T-54 gets to this forward location, the tough turret is going to offer a lot of resistance even to Tier 10 tanks. I mean, it is auto bounce angles on a lot of it, and even the thickness at around 200 is going to offer suitable protection even if they do hit a flat piece. The mobility of the T-54 is excellent. As we saw before, that incredible traverse allows you to respond to threats quickly even if they pop up right behind you. The acceleration and top speed of the 54 are very good as well. With a top speed of about 55 km/h, you're going to get to where you need to be relatively quickly. The acceleration is good, probably not great. The terrain resistance values, it performs a little bit worse on swampy ground than some of the other medium tanks will, but that's not a deal breaker by any means. The low effective aim time allows me to snap shots off and then duck into cover before they can return fire effectively. Often the enemy will have to rush their shots, and on a lot of tanks with high bloom guns, that's going to mean just an auto miss. Using this excellent mobility along with the crazy overpowered camo allows me to get into spots quickly early in the game so I can get several shots worth of damage before the enemy even has a chance to set up. A couple shots of damage might not sound like much, however, according to VB Addict, the average damage per game of the T-54 is 1300. So just a couple shots of damage, that means I can deal in the beginning of the game what most people deal all game. Those shots of damage that I've landed, one on the T-71 and one on that E-50, were completely free. I am unscathed, and the game has really just barely begun. The T-54 is just amazing. You notice how I'm in front of my team. I'm going wherever. This is because I'm relying on that strong camo to keep me hidden, and even if I do get spotted, I'm just going to get hauled down behind a hill, and every tank in the game is going to be like, wow, I'm going to look for something easier, because going after a hull down T-54 is not the easiest target to crack. The great strength of the T-54 is that it's an incredibly good all-rounder. I started out the game by doing some scouting work, landing some free damage before the enemy got to set up. Here, I'm just looking around and playing some sniping games, and finally decide that, you know what, I'm going to help lead the push on the 1-2 line. When I'm hauled down, it doesn't matter if I'm going against E-75s in front of me, they're going to have just as much of a problem with me as I'm going to have with them. I'm not saying the T-54 is going to be the best lead tank for push in the game. I'm just saying that if you need to do that, the tank can perform that role. My team doesn't seem really eager in pushing, and I don't want to sit there and trade shots with those larger tanks. And I notice that the enemy is kind of creeping around the 3-4 line, and I think that I can make a bigger difference over there with the T-54 rather than on the 1-2 line. If you have a chance to flank in the T-54, that's definitely better than going head-on. Notice where I position myself when I get here. I position myself on the hills, trying to hide as much of my hull as possible from the enemies. And IS-8 comes to YOLO around when we're going to make quick work of him, and this is really going to open the game up. Again, if you see the hill below me, that's hiding some amount of my hull. That's where I thought incoming fire was going to come from. I didn't expect the IS-8 to come around in suicide. Now we definitely have presence on the 3-4 line, and I'm going to go up the hill, and this is my flanking opportunity. We're only up for 3, but this can really break the game open. There's a Centurion in front of me and an E-50 on the side of me, and I'm going to make a hull down opportunity. Killing the Centurion, hide the hull behind the Centurion's dead tank, boom, I'm hull down, E-50 bounces a shot off the turret. He's going to bounce a lot of shots off the turret. The T-54 is only limited by your imagination. I can't stress it enough. Get hull down. The great camo of the tank and excellent mobility allow you to get into position. The gun allows you to minimize your exposure time so he can't aim at your hatch. Notice how I'm taking very little time to aim before I release the shot, and I'm not letting him aim on my turret. He actually stopped shooting at me because he bounced several shots off of me. I think the T-54 is basically the perfect tank. It can do anything that you want it to do. There's no situation that's too tough for it. You just have to have good situational awareness and some decent decision-making skills. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.